courtroom laughed when she walked in, until the bodycam footage rolled, and the rookie defense attorney exposed a cop's career full of lies. What happens when the quietest person in the room turns out to be the most dangerous? The courtroom buzzed with low chatter, but it fell to a hush the moment she walked in. Black heels tapped crisply against a polished tile. Her tailored navy suit hugged her frame like confidence sewn into fabric. She didn't rush, didn't even glance around, just moved with the assurance of someone born to command space. No one saw it coming. At the defense table, the bailiff's head tilted. On the other side, the prosecution whispered. One juror even chuckled. The cop in question, Sergeant Mike Borson, 22 years in uniform, leaned toward his attorney and muttered loud enough for the front row to hear, "This your defense? Where's her supervisor high school?" She said nothing. Instead, she moved to the bench, presented her credentials, and took her place, right across from the man who'd unlawfully arrested a teenage boy on a bogus resisting charge. She set down her briefcase gently. A few observers in the crowd exchanged glances. A grandmother in a green floral blouse gave a subtle nod, just enough to say, "We see you." The judge raised an eyebrow at the name on her file. "You're representing Mr. Devin Fields?" "Yes, Your Honor," she said smoothly. "Janelle Miles, licensed defense attorney, state of Florida, Harvard Law." There was an audible, Janelle caught the glance from Borson. He was laughing with his attorney, a seasoned bulldog in a three-piece suit. They weren't worried. Not yet. The court clerk asked if the defense was ready. Janelle responded without hesitation. "Ready to proceed." The first witness was called, the officer himself. Sergeant Borson approached the stand with swagger. He was known in the precinct for getting charges to stick, known even better for the way he talked to young black men like Devin. As he sat, Janelle caught a flicker in her memory. Her 12-year-old self, sitting in the back of a squad car after her older brother had been tackled at a gas station. No reason, no charges, just bruises. She'd watched her father, a sergeant himself, clench his jaw until it cracked. He said nothing to the arresting officer, but when they got home, he whispered to her, "If you're gonna fix this world, don't do it with fists. Do it with facts." That memory pulsed behind her eyes as she rose from her seat. But it wasn't her turn yet. The prosecutor began questioning, standard procedure. Borson repeated his claim. Devin had lunged aggressively, that he feared for his safety. Janelle sat silent, hands folded on the desk. No notes, no laptop, just one pen. Behind her, a nervous young intern dropped his binder with a loud crack against the floor. Janelle bent down, picked up the papers, stacked them precisely, and returned them to him with a small smile. Not a second of hesitation. When her turn finally came, Janelle stepped forward. "I'd like to adjust the witness sequence, Your Honor," she said. "With permission, I'd like to call Officer Terry Delgado before cross-examining Sergeant Borson." The prosecutor raised an eyebrow. "That's highly irregular." The judge waved it forward. "Let's see where she's going with this." Delgado took the stand reluctantly. He was Borson's partner that day, and under oath, when prompted carefully, he admitted something damning. He hadn't seen Devin make any threatening movement. He hadn't even been close enough to witness the initial altercation. Now the room was listening. The jury turned. The judge sat up straighter. Even the stenographer's keys paused mid-word. But Sergeant Borson grinned. "She's reaching." Janelle returned to her table briefly, then reapproached with calm. "Sergeant Borson, are you familiar with Form 128B?" she asked. He blinked. "What's that?" She tilted her head. "It's the documentation your department uses to log de-escalation failures. You signed one 3 months ago." Objection. Irrelevant. The judge paused. Overruled. Let her continue. Behind her, someone whispered, "Damn!" Then came the shift. As she spoke, the courtroom began to change. Not the walls, the people. They leaned in. They listened. Even Borson's lawyer began shifting uncomfortably. But he wasn't done. Objection again. This is slander. The judge leaned over. She's citing department records. This is admissible. Still, the prosecution pushed back. Hard. They filed a motion mid-trial claiming conflict of interest, claimed Janelle's background compromised her objectivity. Their proof? A newspaper clipping showing her father, now retired, once trained Borson 15 years ago. Janelle stood, calm, quiet. "I was 12, she said to the judge, "and I've built my own legacy since." There was a pause. Then a quiet voice in the gallery, Devon's grandmother, spoke softly. "She's the only one who ever showed up for him." A silence fell. Janelle took a sip of water, clicked her pen once, and looked directly at the officer. "Let's begin," she said. The real case was just about to start. Janelle's heels clicked once against the hardwood as she turned toward the witness stand. She held no notes, only the calm rhythm of her own breathing. The jury noticed. So did Borson, who shifted, forcing a smirk. "Sergeant," she began, voice controlled, "you testified earlier that Mr. Fields lunged at you, correct?" "That's right," Borson said. "Would you describe the lunge?" Borson made an exaggerated forward motion with both arms. The gallery rustled with unease. "And you maintain you feared for your safety?" she asked. "Absolutely. Even though Officer Delgado," she gestured to the partner now back in the pews, "stated he never saw such movement?" "Delgado was behind me," Borson snapped. "Limited view." Janelle nodded. "Understood. Let's consult the dash cam." She signaled to the bailiff, who dimmed the courtroom lights. A screen flickered on. The prosecution's lawyer stood. Objection. Dash footage was deemed inconclusive and prejudicial. Janelle turned. "Only because you submitted an incomplete copy. We acquired the uncompressed original directly from the precinct's archival drive." Her eyes slid back to the judge. "Your Honor, chain of custody is intact. Timestamp matches arrest log." The judge glanced at the prosecution. "Overruled. Play the footage." A hush fell. The video showed Devon standing next to the cruiser, hands visible. Borson approached, said something indistinct, then pushed Devon against the hood. No lunge, no swing. Straight to cuffs. A collective exhale rippled through the room. Borson's jaw flexed. Janelle stepped into the glow of the screen. "Does this refresh your recollection, Sergeant?" He glared. "Angles can be deceiving." "Of course. Let's try audio." She pressed a second button. The clip replayed with sound. Borson's voice filled the courtroom. "Quit looking at me like that, boy, unless you want to kiss pavement." A murmur rose. The judge hammered the gavel twice. "Order!" When lights brightened, Borson's attorney leaned into his client, whispering furiously. Janelle waited, eyes lowered, letting the silence grow teeth. The attorney cleared his throat. Motion to strike the audio. Foundation unclear. "Foundation," Janelle replied, "will be established by the precinct's IT administrator." A man in uniform stood at the back, hand raised. "He's prepared to authenticate the file chain." The judge nodded. Motion denied. From the gallery, a reporter scribbled frantically. Janelle's pulse drummed, but her face betrayed nothing. "Sergeant," she continued, "do you recall signing Form 128B, your department's use of force report, 3 months ago?" "I signed dozens of forms," he muttered. She produced a laminated sheet. "This specific one documents a separate arrest where you wrote, quote, Subject complied, but I escalated to takedown for officer safety. Borson's lawyer objected, irrelevant to this incident. It establishes pattern, Your Honor, Janelle said. Doctrine of chances. The judge scratched his chin. I'll allow a limited inquiry. Borson shifted again. Sweat gathered at his temples. Tell the court, Janelle said softly, how many compliant teenagers you've tackled in the past year. Objection. Badgering. No, the judge said. Answer. Borson swallowed. I don't know. More than 5? Maybe. More than 10? I can't recall. Janelle leaned in, voice like velvet over steel. You tackle them because they scare you, or because you think they won't fight back. Borson opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The jury watched, rapt. The teenage defendant's mother clasped her hands, lips trembling. Suddenly, Borson's lawyer rose, waving a printed motion. Your Honor, new evidence. Counsel's father supervised Sergeant Borson in 2008. Clear conflict of interest. We move for immediate mistrial. Gasps fluttered. Janelle's eyes narrowed. She'd expected this. She approached the bench. My father served honorably. That does not disqualify me. If anything, it means I know departmental policy inside and out, exactly what the defense is entitled to. She took a breath, then added, louder for the jury to hear, I became a lawyer because I saw what unchecked power can do even to good officers. The judge stared at the motion, then at the trembling teenager behind Janelle. Finally, he sighed, sliding the paper aside. Motion denied. We proceed. Borson's shoulders sagged. Janelle pivoted back to the jury. No further questions, Your Honor, for now. She returned to her seat, but not before meeting Devon's eyes. She gave a tiny nod. Hold on, we're winning. During recess, the hallway buzzed. Reporters clustered, cameras flashing. A detective in plain clothes approached Janelle quietly. Your clip's on local news already. Pressure's building. She exhaled, rubbing the small scar on her wrist. Gift from a police-issue handcuff years ago. Back when she was just a witness, no one believed. Not again. When court reconvened, the gallery was packed. Janelle rose. Defense calls Captain Olivia Miles. A uniformed woman, trim, silver hair, commanding, walked in. The badge on her chest read, Fort Lauderdale PD Internal Affairs. Borson's face drained of color. Captain Miles took the oath, then turned toward Janelle with a proud but professional nod. Captain, Janelle began, how are you related to me? I'm her mother. And your role at the department? I head internal affairs. I review officer misconduct. And what did your investigation reveal about Sergeant Borson's arrest record? The prosecutor sprang up. Objection, family bias. The captain held up a folder. These are unredacted complaints, approved for court use. If counsel doubts my impartiality, IA's deputy chief can testify as well. The judge signaled her to proceed. Sergeant Borson, the captain stated, has 6 sustained excessive force complaints in 3 years. Bodycam footage often went missing. Until now. She handed the folder to the bailiff. The jury's forewoman leaned forward. Several members exchanged glances. Borson slammed his fist on the table. This is a setup. Order, the judge barked. Janelle waited, let the eruption settle. Then she placed one final exhibit, a photograph, on the overhead. It showed Borson laughing with Devon's terrified face reflected in the cruiser window. This, she said quietly, is not policing. It's persecution. Silence thundered. The judge adjourned for the day, motioning all parties to return tomorrow for cross and closing. Outside, evening light slanted through courthouse pillars. Janelle packed her briefcase slowly. Devon's grandmother approached, took Janelle's hand. Tears glimmered. "You remind me of your daddy," she whispered. "He kept them honest. Now you do." Janelle smiled, but the weight of tomorrow pressed on her shoulders. One day remained to seal the case and protect a boy from a system that had once swallowed her own family whole. She glanced back at the courtroom door where Sergeant Borson stood, surrounded by press, fury simmering behind his eyes. Tomorrow, she thought. This isn't over. The next morning, the courtroom doors opened to a wall of media. Devin sat quietly, head down, flanked by his mother and grandmother. Janelle adjusted her blazer in the reflection of a window before entering. Calm. Ready. She walked past Sergeant Borson, whose swagger was replaced with silence. The courtroom felt heavier. Jurors sat straighter. Even the judge had shed his casual tone. Janelle stood. "Your Honor, the defense is ready for closing." The judge nodded. "Proceed." She stepped forward. "You've heard testimony, seen footage, watched a pattern unfold," she began. "But today isn't about Sergeant Borson. It's about Devin Fields, a child, a student, a brother." She walked slowly past the jury box. Devin did nothing wrong. He didn't lunge. He didn't threaten. He was afraid, because history taught him to be. She paused at the overhead projector. Clicked. An image appeared. Devin at his graduation, smiling, arms raised, diploma in hand. "He's the face of every child you swore to protect." She let it hang. Then added softly, "The law is only as strong as the people who enforce it, and the people who defend it." Then came Borson's lawyer. Bluster, accusations. They called Janelle emotional, questioned her impartiality, painted her as a lawyer on a crusade. The word agenda echoed twice. But when they sat down, the room felt colder. The judge gave final instructions. The jury left. Time slowed. Devin's hands trembled. His mother squeezed them. Janelle sat still. Stone outside, storm inside. 2 hours later, the forewoman returned. "Have you reached a verdict?" the judge asked. "We have." She stood, paper in hand. "In the matter of Devin Fields versus the state of Florida, we find the defendant not guilty." Devin broke down. His grandmother sobbed. His mother collapsed into hugs. Janelle exhaled slowly, closed her eyes. One heartbeat, then another. Order returned. The judge dismissed the charges. Borson shot to his feet.